Meyer, now the official new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, just coming down in the last couple seconds. This courtship, which has lasted several weeks, included the firing of Doug Marrone, is now over and final. Urban Meyer, officially the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, just got a statement from owner Shad Khan calling this a great day for Jacksonville and Jaguars fans everywhere. He said Urban Meyer is who we want and need, a leader, winner, and champion who demands excellence and produces results. As Khan continued in this statement, while Urban already enjoys a legacy in the game of football, few will ever match college football, obviously. His passion for the opportunity in front of him here in Jacksonville is powerful and unmistakable. Owner Shad Khan finishes his statement, "I am proud to name Urban Meyer the new head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars," agreeing to terms a couple minutes ago on a multi-year deal. Urban Meyer back in the state of Florida and now finally in the NFL.
90 miles away from Gainesville, where he won a pair of national championships leading the Florida Gators, and then a few years later would win one in Columbus as the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. What do you get the sense is on the priority list here for Urban Meyer now that this deal is officially done, Ian?
Well, there's still so much to do as far as Urban Meyer just settling into Jacksonville. I know we have staff questions. Who's going to be his offensive coordinator? Who's going to be his defensive coordinator? I was told to look to college football for a lot of his hires, which would make sense. That's where Urban Meyer has made his name. That's where he's lived for the last several decades. So we will see on where he finishes out his staff and how he fills it. And, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars still need a general manager. That expected to be someone with Urban Meyer's fingerprints all over it. Some names we've mentioned. Trent Baalke, the current interim GM for the Jacksonville Jaguars, he is someone who will get consideration. Ray Farmer, who got to know Urban Meyer pretty closely when the two were in Ohio. That would be another possibility. Jerry Reese, the two-time Super Bowl winning GM of the New York Giants. He is another one to consider. A lot to get to, but the most important piece of this just was official and finalized by the Jaguars.
Urban Meyer, the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ian Rappaport giving us the news. Thanks very much, Ian. Appreciate that. And as we continue to assess what this means for the Jaguars and for the AFC South in general, as the Jaguars have their new head coach, let's bring in Andrew Hawkins and Scott Pioli. Guys, we talked about this a little bit already, but Scott, just your initial reaction of this courtship and why the Jaguars felt like Urban Meyer was the right guy.
Yeah, I'm excited for Jacksonville because they've got one heck of a good football coach. And as we heard earlier, Urban is the CEO. He knows how to be a CEO. He knows not only how to coach, which is important, but he is a tremendous leader of his assistant coaches and the total program. Urban has a system, he has a process. He's going to bring that to Jacksonville, but I also think he's going to be smart enough to bring some NFL people around him that can help him fill in some of those gaps. But the bottom line is the Jacksonville Jaguars have a tremendous football coach who not only knows scheme, he knows how to lead, and he knows players. So this is a very, very good day, I believe, for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, and I think him getting those NFL coaches around him and people with that experience will be super important because it is going to be a little bit of a different beast, not just from going from college to the NFL, but also trying to change the culture of a place that is used to losing. Trust me, I played for the Browns. I've been in that. I've seen how hard it is, and we had new coach after new coach come in and preach toughness. And what would happen is the veteran players would be like, toughness, wow, we never thought of that. Everybody says that when they come in the door. So being nuanced, making sure you're starting from the ground up, getting the GM, getting the coaches around you, making the right decision at quarterback will be pivotal for what this looks like a couple years down the line for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Guys, I want to bring Ian Rappaport back in here real quick. Ian, what more do you have to add here as Urban Meyer now becomes official as the head coach in Jacksonville?
Yeah, and first of all, this wait, which we've had for Urban Meyer, really has lasted several weeks. I mean, we've known that he was the top target for the Jacksonville Jaguars really since before they fired Doug Marrone. No real surprise there. But there were several key candidates who also interviewed for the Jaguars who now know that they are not getting this job, considered to be one of the top jobs on the market. Robert Saleh, for instance, interviewed for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously not getting this one now. He has a second interview with the Los Angeles Chargers. That's going to be tomorrow. Eric Bieniemy, another name interviewed for several openings. Raheem Morris, another name interviewed for several openings as well. So the Jaguars is now done. You begin the dominoes of trying to figure out who is going to be the next head coach elsewhere. One thing we know, we already know the Jaguars head coach. He landed at 3 or 4 p.m. today and just finalized a deal a couple minutes ago.
The first hire of this coaching cycle now official. The Jacksonville Jaguars have Urban Meyer, still 6 head coaching openings out there in the NFL. All right, after the break here on NFL Total Access, we are going to continue our coverage of the Jaguars making Urban Meyer their new head coach. Of course, been wildly successful on the college level. What will it look like in his first season as an NFL coach? That's next when we come back here on NFL Total Access. That's with an NFL first-timer. Not Ian Rappaport, our NFL Network insider, but the guy he's here to talk about, Urban Meyer, set to finalize a deal to become the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ian, how did the Jags ultimately land here on Urban Meyer?
After weeks of speculation, the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the verge of landing their top choice for a long time as their new head coach. Urban Meyer, I'm told, expected to be the next coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, finalizing this deal that could be done tonight or could be done tomorrow morning. If it is done tomorrow morning, we'll see what official the Jacksonville Jaguars have as far as a press conference or introductory matters for Urban Meyer, but this does seem like it's happening. You're seeing the photos right here. He landed in Jacksonville, standing on an actual welcome mat from the Jacksonville Jaguars. So this thing is going to happen. And ever since the Jacksonville Jaguars officially fired Doug Marrone as their head coach, we have known that Urban Meyer was the target. And why would he not want the Jacksonville job? They have the #1 pick. They have a ton of other draft picks. They have patient owners. And they have a ton of salary cap space. A lot to like for Urban Meyer. And for the Jaguars, this is a coach who's been successful at every single level. He's coached at every single level of college that he has coached at, multiple national titles. He has wanted to try his hand in the NFL for a while. Now he is about to do it.
Yeah, they rolled out not the shag carpet, but the jag carpet for Urban Meyer as he got off the... Anyway, let's move on here to what this means for another big opening in the Jacksonville franchise, which is general manager. So how does the hiring of Urban Meyer affect that process and ultimately personnel control in Jacksonville?
Well, you're not going to hire someone like Urban Meyer without making sure that he has his hands on everything. So he is going to be heavily involved in not just personnel, not just picking his players, but picking the GM as well. And a couple names to keep an eye on. Of course, Trent Baalke, the top internal candidate. That would be one name to watch. Ray Farmer, who currently works for the Los Angeles Rams, formed a really close relationship with Urban Meyer when those two were in Ohio together with Farmer as the GM of the Browns. That would be another name to watch. And then Jerry Reese, 2-time Super Bowl winner with the Giants, another name to watch. Nothing firm as far as which choice it is going to be, but Urban Meyer is going to have his hands on everything and will be very, let's say, heavy-handed in making sure this organization looks exactly like he wants to.
Much more on the state of affairs now in Jacksonville as the team is set to make Urban Meyer their next head coach, coming up a bit later in the show. Ian, thanks very much. Appreciate that. As we take a look now at what Jacksonville has been like over the course of the last decade. 1 win in 2020 gives them 44 total the last 10 seasons. That's the fewest in the league. Jags have started 3 different quarterbacks this season. They combined for the 3rd worst passer rating in the league, but an opportunity to fix that, as Ian mentioned, with the #1 overall pick in this year's draft, which we will follow closely on the Move the Sticks podcast, where DJ and Bucky have had extensive conversations with Urban Meyer on the culture of winning.
Culture to me, I know there's many definitions. Culture to me is what does your product or what does your team, what does your organization look like, what does it feel like, and what does it act like? And not necessarily when you're winning by 40 points against FAU. It's what's it look like in a rivalry game? What's it look like and feel like and act like on 4th down and 2, or in the stock market turns upside down? And culture it's got to be the vision of the CEO or the head coach, and you can't waver on your culture.
And to achieve that culture, Urban Meyer cites 3 things: relentless effort, competitive excellence, and power of the unit. For more on what those mean to him, go to check out NFL.com/MTS video. See that full interview DJ and Bucky did with Urban Meyer. Back here now with Andrew Hawkins and Scott Pioli as promised here. So Scott, let's look past the hot take for a second, if you will. I know that's going to make Hawk disappointed, but let's look past it for a second. Not if he's going to win, but how. How will it work with Urban Meyer in Jacksonville?
Rhett, it starts with just the simple fact that he is an excellent football coach and he's a tremendous leader. So those things are going to lead him to a place where he's going to get players' attention. The other important thing is the fact he knows exactly what kind of players he's looking for in terms of their personal makeup that is going to fit his personality, but he also knows what to look for in terms of matching his scheme. Again, major college football programs that sustain winning, like Urban's program did, have a process. They have a plan and they know exactly what they're going to do. And back in 2013, after I had been fired by the Chiefs, I spent about a week up at Ohio State in Columbus. I stayed with the Vrabels because Vrabel was coaching the defensive line, and I spent about 4 or 5 days every day with Urban, and I saw how he ran that program. I saw how he taught. I saw how he coached. I saw how he